Howdy, howdy, howdy. Today is Saturday, July 20th, 2019, and welcome to the Garden Nerd. I'm going to give you a tour for July for the garden. Alright, let's get going. With the grapevine going, it is doing very well here. We have a lot of Concord grapes coming in. Some of them are drying off, but there is quite a bit under here. So I think that will be fantastic. But yeah, it's going pretty good. We have had some dry season, but we just had some rain, so the grapevine is doing much better now. Over here in the concrete raised bed, so I was trying to grow asparagus again in here, but as you can tell, I pulled it out because it didn't sprout after like 6 weeks of being in the soil. So I, think that it just did not. I didn't have a good start there. So instead, I have some more tomatoes popped in here. This is like a cherry tomato. I think it's like, I can't remember, it's sun gold or black cherry. And then I have the bigger, fatter ones, the Makotos. And then this right here, you can see it's a little bit sad. That was just a cutting that I just jabbed into the ground, and now it's rooting and popping back up. And then I have a little bit of beets kind of thrown in here, and then I put a zucchini over here in this corner. And then over here in what is kind of the half rustic raised bed, I kind of pulled out the sides here and got some cinder blocks to kind of edge around. A couple of reasons for that. One, the wood is rotting, which is perfectly fine. And two, there seemed to be a good amount of what I think were termites. So I don't want to have too much termites around here. The house isn't that far, and my neighbor's house isn't either, so I figured I'd just kind of pull that. I still have the wood along here, which I'm going to eventually change out. It's just pretty hot this weekend, so I didn't want to do anything there. So yeah, got the tomatoes here, and then in the front there's some leeks, some beets, and then along here in the spot that I added, I threw down more beets. These were just some starts that I had here. What I did was I took the wood apart, then I kind of took the very rotten wood, kind of laid it on the inside here, and then I also kind of took some of the soil from the walkways when I was readjusting that, threw that on top of the wood, so this way there'd be some more soil, and then I put some compost along the top here, just to kind of fill it in. And I mean, I think it will do well. These were just planted yesterday, and they're doing pretty good. Now for the tomatoes themselves here. So this one here is the black cherry, is doing good, just kind of traipsing along here. Haven't got any of those yet, but you should see the sun gold here. So I've had like maybe 3 ripen between this one and the other one. So I'm kind of excited for that. And then the Makoto over here, I've gotten at least one decent sized, and then a couple, over here as well, along with some more down here, which are probably going to get eaten by some critters, but whatever, it's fine. I should have more than enough tomatoes. Alright, so up here we have the green beans. They've been chugging along for a while now. They keep setting on some new ones here, like the bush variety. So I've been going through, getting a couple handfuls. I'm letting a couple kind of dry up and go to seed so I can kind of use them to start some more. But they're still putting on some more, green beans, so fantastic. There's I think 8 in here, and then the cabbage, which keeps getting noshed on, keeps popping back because it keeps getting munched down and then keeps growing back. Maybe, if I'm lucky, I might get a cabbage at some point. Then up here in where the bathtub used to be, I have basil going. I just trimmed these probably a week or 2 ago, and they're putting on new flush of growth, which is fantastic. Get that pesto going. Over here, and this raised bed here, I have some tomatoes that I threw here. These were more of the Makotos. I'm kind of using a kind of trellis method, getting them up on the frame there, see if that will work, kind of keep them up and off the ground somewhat. And of course I'm not doing single stem because that would involve me being good and doing that, and I just kind of hate cutting them off threw some new fresh green beans into there. There is an okra that started from seed. There was a whole bunch of them supposed to be here, but they didn't pop up. So I have a couple starting in some trays, and I'll pop them in there, just kind of hopefully do that. And then here in this weedy spot, there is some onions that I started. So I don't know if they'll get any decent size, but they might just be good bunching onions, because that's kind of what they are. But if you let them go, they can grow bigger. Over here in the lasagna type bed here that it's kind of closed off. So I have some of like the lettuce and stuff, which I haven't harvested because I'm terrible. And then there is some of the chard in the middle there, and that's going pretty good. And then a volunteer tomato, because they're everywhere. Some of the celery there, more lettuce over there. It's been pretty hot, so that stuff's probably going to be pretty bitter, but you know, you do what you do. And then I got the cave beans going up the trellis here. And they're playing a little bit of catch up because this spot isn't super sunny, but I think it's doing okay. Alright, so these guys here, I have the leeks here. They're doing okay, not too bad. The random not cabbage, celery there that got munched down and it's kind of popping back up. Hopefully that will do well. And then I have the batch of the old green beans here. You can kind of see where they kind of stopped growing in this area, but I put a bunch of new ones up here. I'm thinking these might get ripped out shortly, but you can see they are still doing a little bit of growth, but with the bush variety, it kind of really depends on the first big bush and push of it. Over here, we have the volunteer squash melons and whatnot. From what I believe, with the pointy ones here, I think this is like a melon, and then the more round ones I think are more of a squash. So I think that is like maybe a cantaloupe or a honeydew. I'm not entirely certain. I'm gonna let it go. Might just be a squash. I'm not entirely certain. So there's like a couple floating here and there. Nothing too much here. I don't see any fruit around here. Oh, okay. Right over here, you can see that there. And that is the more kind of slightly rounded, slightly pointed, but I think that's more of a butternut squash, I'm thinking. You know, random seeds will do random things. Then over here I threw a couple bean seeds that I saved and kind of replanting. Threw the basil in here because it needed somewhere to go. Kind of transferred some beets. They're a little bit sad, but whatever. Here's some of the okra that actually did pop up. So at the very least, I have 5 plants of okra going, and hopefully that will be good. Alright, over to the squash hills. So this squash right here is the Table Queen, I think it was called. That seems to be doing fairly well. So what I ended up doing, there's the compost here. I threw the hay down that I took off of that bed when I kind of prepped it over. I had some charcoal from some campfires, and I just kind of threw it on there as like a mulch experiment to see if that does well. Hasn't seemed to affect the plant badly at all. I mean, it is on top, so we'll see what it's going to do. Then over here is the spaghetti squash. Doing less good, probably due to lack of mulching and the encroaching trees and things like that. So I might have to kind of do some chopping around here to kind of try to free this up. I'll hoping get a couple of spaghetti squashes because my family seems to really like those. Onward and offward. Over here we got the corn going, which is doing pretty good. I did thin them out a bit and I threw the stalks kind of as a mulch underneath, kind of letting it go, kind of give it a little bit more room. We got the stalks here. If we do a little wiggle, I don't know if you can see any of the pollen, but yeah, you can kind of see the hairs here that are going to need to be pollinated by that. So they're starting. I don't know if it's too early or not. I think the last time I grew corn, I thought it was a little bit bigger before it started going to pollinate here. But yeah, fairly interesting. Over here in the flower bed, the snapdragons, which are a little bit lanky, they're at least flowering, so that's kind of nice. Then over here we got the zinnias, they actually kind of flowered up, which is fantastic. And I still do not remember what these plants are. I know that they were from the seed packet, so I don't think that they're a weed. I just can't for the life of me remember what flower it is. So yeah. Oh, and then this random squash plant here is squashing, or not squash, it might just be a melon, I'm not sure. But this one isn't doing as good. It did start a little something, but that one is a little bit on the squishy side, so I don't know if we'll get anything productive out of here for that particular thing, but it is what it is. And then up in the front, along with the flowers, which are kind of going, you can see the more trendles from the squash there. Yeah, and you can see this one's like a bad one. That one's like rotting. But I have a tomato here. I think that's the black cherry. And then I got the, I think, black beans here. And then right there, that patch of green is like lettuce and radish. And it's already bolted and stuff. I kind of threw it there. And I'm just kind of like letting it go because, I don't know. No reason not to have it. Alright, so the blueberry bush here is doing fantastic. The bird netting seems to have actually really helped. A couple of bucks and I actually get to have my blueberries this year. There's still quite a few on here. I haven't really picked too much. I'm trying to let most of them kind of ripen. So this way I can get like a decentish amount all at once. Or I'm just going to eat them fresh. That's probably what I'll do, but I'm just trying to let them do what they're going to do. Alright, so over here in the little fenced off garden area, got the beans here. These are like the yellow beans. I'm letting them kind of go to seed. And then I have some more of the green beans. So I'm kind of letting these kind of pods dry out. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in here next. I will have to make that decision fairly soon. I might just be more beans afterwards, because I do like them. Then we have the beets and the carrots here. I did pick a handful of the carrots the other day. They were a little bit dinky, but they're like baby carrots, so that's fine. I have to do a little bit more weeding. But I picked like 2 decent sized beets. You can check out, I think, on my Facebook page. I did post that. They were, a little bit bigger than like baseballs. I have more beets there, and then in between here and then there, between the beets there, I threw more carrot seed in today. Watered it in a little bit, and just kind of letting it go. The celery is doing pretty good. I've been picking them on and off, getting like a little bit here. They're starting to get decent sized. I was been worried that they'd be a little too bitter, but they've actually been pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so then in this area here is a hot mess of a jungle. So you can see here, the tomatoes are doing crazy, so they're just kind of climbing up things, going here and there. I kind of did a dual stem going up here with these guys, just because I am, never wanting to trim things and hoping to get more fruit. And I figure maybe it will kind of spread out. So I'm just kind of doing it that way, letting them grow up. And then we have a bunch of volunteer squash and melon and cucumber, I think, going all around vining here. I'm kind of letting it go to see kind of how it does. I'm trying to keep it at least somewhat in check. Kind of try to keep it off the sidewalk and kind of onto the path so I can get through. And then we have the regular cucumbers climbing up there. So it's going pretty good so far. Oh, you can actually see a decent melon here. So, there we go. Like it's a decent little melon, dude. I'm not sure what it is. I'm thinking cantaloupe because we have a good amount of cantaloupe store-bought and kind of throw the seeds into the compost. But yeah, and the zucchini is doing flippin' like crazy. You can see how big this leaf is. Like, that's my hand against the zucchini leaf. It is kind of insane. I did pick a zucchini the other day. It was decent sized here, and you can see a couple decent like zucchini here. We're kind of going. I need to kind of pick them. Like, there's a bad one there, which I'll need to cut off. But it is what it is. Then I have eggplant, Black Beauty eggplant. So I got that one going, which is pretty exciting. I'm pretty happy with that. Looks like there's another one going down at the bottom. The flower, the Cosmo, kind of just fell over. Did a little bit of weeding. And then over here is the cucumber. So you can see like the little baby cucumbers starting to go. And now they're just kind of getting pretty tall. So may have to top them and kind of hope for the best, but there's like 5 to 6 plants, so hopefully I'll get a good amount of cucumbers there. Alright, so then over here, I've let the peas just kind of go. I'll get to them eventually and rip these out and just do a bunch of dried peas. Maybe just use it for seed, or maybe use it for cooking later on, because I just did not get on top of them and pick them too well. What are you? Brassica. You are a brassica named Kale. There we go. It just took me a minute. The kale bounced back pretty well. The mustard greens are doing okay. The lettuce kind of died or went like very seedy. So I have to do some weeding to clean this up. So when I actually pull the peas, I can probably get another row of greens here. That was lettuce before. And do a bunch of weeding here. And then over here in the trial beds, the dig bed, the no dig bed, I threw on a fresh layer of compost as mulch because it was my unfinished homemade compost on top. I do prefer to do that as a composty mulch because it seems to do really well, because one, protects the soil, and then two, it just leaches in all the nutrients and stuff into the ground, which works out, seems to be doing really well. Because like I got 5 basils here, matching the 5 basils here, and I put beans on either side. We still have the celery here and here. I think it's doing fairly well. And then I think these were the Sun Gold tomatoes. You can see like that one's good. That one kind of plopped, so I'm gonna have to recover that. But we'll see how they do. I know like it always surprises me like that the no dig actually works better. Although it's always like those things that you say. So I'll keep doing it, seeing how it's going. I enjoy like the different things. So this is like year 2, I think, that I've been doing it. I'll double check, but yeah, I believe 2 years I've been doing the dig no dig trial there. All right, onward to the raised bed, not raised bed, container garden on the patio. So the kale here is doing okay. It's gotten munched on by me and by the critters. So it's doing pretty good. We do have the turnips. They're getting a little bit chewed up, but there's some decent sized ones here. I may rip these out and like harvest them soon. I'm not entirely certain. And then the squash. I don't remember if I knew which variety it was before, but now I'm fairly certain it is butternut, because that's like a little butternut squash here. So those were the seeds that I saved. I kind of cut them back to about 2 vines each, so I have some falling over here and then some going over here. I'm gonna be interested to see how well it does on here for the patio type thing, because I'm just kind of interested. It has like all this hillside over here that it can kind of trestle down a bit. So, and also on the patio itself, which I'm fine with. We don't really use this patio for too much. And then we got the eggplants here. So this was the little rinky dinky one here, the one that was like the baby one that I pulled out from over there when I kind of redid this bucket. And that one's bounced back fantastically, because that little guy was like a lot more beaten up. Now it's doing really well. And then we have just the fantastic gangbusters eggplant, which I might actually just dedicate the container garden here to more of the warm season crops, because it's just doing so much better than the ones in the ground. It's also not competing with a bunch of neighbors, because it's getting its own soil. And then you can see this beautiful eggplant right here. It is like gorgeous. And that's about ready to harvest. Not exactly sure what I'm gonna do with it, but yeah, that is a good sized homegrown eggplant. And then over here in the carrots, I was pretty happy. I got to do some thinning and on these guys a couple days ago. I had them as like a snack. And then I don't know if it's because I disturbed it. Something decided to go like, oh, they're ready. We'll come and eat them. Because, yeah, you can see here, that guy was pulled up. So I think it might be the groundhog kind of chewing at the ends here. But it is what it is. I did get a goodish amount. I'm going to let these guys continue to grow. Hopefully they'll send up new shoots to get bigger, fatter carrots. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy. I haven't gotten a decent thing of carrots in the last couple of years. So far, this has been my best carrots. So I might kind of try to do more container carrots here. Let me see if there's a good one that I wouldn't mind pulling. You can see, like, it's here. It's a little bit, but I want to keep that one going because it's not very big. Let's see here. This might be okay. Ah, there we go. That's just like a nice little carrot right there, you know? Bit bigger than like a baby carrot, but yeah. That's going to be a good little snack there. Alrighty. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for watching The Garden Nerd for the garden tour of July. I hope you had a good time. My neighbors seem to be having a good time playing their music. It's cool. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. See you next time.